The hearts of all Sonic fans was broken when SEGA announced that they would be ending their relationship with Archie Comics. This brings an end to the Sonic comic book series that has run for over 24 years. And I want to take a moment to look back at this comic that has meant so much to me over the years. I want to talk about my favorite memories in relation to the Archie comic book, the Satam animated show, and I'm also going to talk about my relationship with the Sonic franchise as a whole, and how I became a Sonic fan. So yeah, welcome to the show. We'll be back soon in 35 seconds. Here comes the video game show intro, so do not go anywhere. Many of you know, this comic book is connected to a TV show that ran during the 90s. It was Sonic the Hedgehog, and it starred Jaleel White. That's right, Urkel himself. He was the voice of Sonic, and it ran for 2 years on TV. The show was surprisingly dark, because basically it was post-apocalyptic in a way, because Eggman, or Robotnik, he'd taken over the land, a bunch of people were turned into robots, and Sonic and Sally, they were the leaders of a resistance team. And they were trying to restore their friends and their family, and overthrow the Empire, of course, the Eggman Empire, the Robotnik Empire.
Welcome to Robotropolis, the capital of my kingdom.
And the show featured a cool cast of characters that were not from the games. It featured Princess Sally, Rotor, Antoine, and many other memorable characters. And that's the way that the Sonic comic book connects to the show. It's the characters. It's Sally, it's Rotor, it's Antoine, and the general plot, the general idea of them being freedom fighters, it passed from the show to the comic book. And eventually the comic book outlived the show, so it started adapting elements from the video games. It brought in Knuckles, it brought in Shadow, it adapted Sonic Adventure, Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Colors, Sonic Unleashed, etc., etc.
To a free Mobius.
To a free Mobius!
Before we talk about the Archie comic book, I want to take a moment to explain how I became a Sonic fan. And here's the thing, I grew up with a Sega Genesis when I was very little. It was a hand-me-down console from my brother, but the first console that I actually owned, that I got for like Christmas or something, that was a Nintendo 64. So in reality, I'm more of a Nintendo kid than I am a Sega kid. But the Sega did mean a lot to me when I was very little. I remember playing the 6-pack, or whatever it was called, the game that had columns and Streets of Rage and Golden Axe, etc. But I didn't play Sonic when I was very little, because, my brother did not have the cartridge anymore, it must have gotten thrown out, or I broke it, I don't know. But eventually, I did get a GameCube. I think it was when it dropped like $100, might have been like a year or two after launch. And one of the first games that I had, after Mario Sunshine of course, was the Sonic Mega Collection. That game is amazing. It's a great compilation of classic Sonic games. It has Sonic 1, 2, 3, Sonic and Knuckles, 3D Blast, Mean Bean Machine, and a bunch of other unlockables like Flicky, etc. And I guess that you could say that the reason why I became a Sonic fan, or at least the first push to being a fan, was the Mega Collection. Because they had so many great games, and I fell in love with the second game. As you can see from the shirt over here, Sonic 2 is one of my favorites, if not my favorite, Sonic game. It's definitely my favorite of the 2D games. And I would play it over and over and over when I was a little kid. One of the most important features of the Mega Collection was the extra sub-menu. In there you had a bunch of videos like the history of Sonic, the Sonic Adventure 2 battle trailer, I think there was a Sonic Advance 2 trailer, and I would watch these things over and over, especially the history of Sonic video. I was fascinated seeing the evolution of the franchise, seeing it go from 2D to 3D, from Genesis to Dreamcast to GameCube and PS2. It was a lot of fun watching that video. But the most important thing of the extras menu was not the videos, it was the art galleries, or rather the cover galleries. Here's the thing. The most important thing of the extras menu was the Archie Comic stuff. That's right. The Sonic Mega Collection has a bunch of covers. I think at least the first 100 covers of the Archie comic book, and you could actually read in the first few issues. I think the miniseries, I think it's called The Beginning, correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, and I read it. I read it on the TV, zooming in with the with the GameCube controller and passing the pages, and I liked it. And sure, it was really, really, you know, kiddie and silly and cartoony, but it had so much charm, and I loved the, I love the illustrations, I love the art style, and I liked it. And the covers. Here's the thing: the most important thing is not really the beginning; it's the covers and seeing the evolution of the comic book. You see it go from like the Sega Genesis art style to the more, I guess you could say, mature Dreamcast art style, and you see them adapting. Like when you see the covers, you see like, oh, they adapted Sonic Adventure. You know, there's Chaos and Tikal, etc. And you see Shadow as well. And I started getting interested in the comic book. I was like, what is this? I want to read it. And I looked it up online, and I was like, oh wait, it's based on an animated show called Sonic Satam, or at least the fans call it Sonic Satam. And eventually, I did start reading it. I went to my local comic book shop back home in Puerto Rico. It's called Metro Comics. And the first issue that I bought was Sonic issue 1. Give me a second, I have to look it up. I forget the exact number. It was issue number 119, and the cover had Sonic and Tails on it. And the inside had a story where they were chasing down this train called the Cater Killer that was coming to Knothole Village or whatever the hell they lived. I don't remember the details. Here's the thing: it's been years since I've read many of those earlier comics, so I've forgotten a lot of details. So in this video, I can't go into a lot of the story arcs and whatnot. I think I'll probably focus more on characters, because that I remember very well. But before I forget, I do remember one important detail about that initial issue that I read, the Cater Killer issue, and that is that there was this sub-story featuring Knuckles, and Knuckles was green for some reason. I think he might have absorbed some chaos energy or something. I don't remember the details, but I remember it being weird. I was just like, why is Knuckles green? And eventually he died, he went to heaven, he met God, and God took the form of an echidna, or echidna, however you want to say it. And it was weird. It was fun, sure, but it was weird. And this comic book, the Sonic Archie Comic series, has had many weird story arcs and many ups and downs. But I have to say this, it was always a fun read. Regardless of how into the story arcs I was or wasn't at a given time, I always had fun. Part of it was the art. For the most part, the art was always really good. And if you're a Sonic Archie fan, then you must agree with me, because the comic book is just fun. There's a few more story arcs that I do remember. Here's one. It started in issue 134, and that was a controversial issue where Sonic and Sally broke up. I wasn't big into the internet back then. I was still young, but I'm sure that if that had happened now, I'd be going online and seeing a bunch of fan forums and people freaking out. I can't imagine, because I watch a lot of TV shows, and I know that every time some couple breaks up or something, people go crazy online, the shippers. So I can't imagine how it was probably for the fans. I repeat, there probably wasn't too much of an online presence, and if there was one for Sonic fans, I wasn't aware of it. But damn, whatever online presence there was, it must have blown up. I'm sure. Another arc I remember was the 125 Years Later arc that showed you a possible future where Sonic and Sally are married, they have kids, Knuckles has an eye patch, I think Shadow was royalty too. I remember him having a crown, or at least I saw him wearing a crown as I looked for covers for this video. I repeat, I don't remember too many of the details, I'm sorry. But yeah, I do remember it. It was weird. I never really liked it that much. Every time they would do these stories, I would just think, bring me back to the present. Go back. I want to see what's going on with them fighting Eggman and whatnot. I don't want to see the future or a possible future. I mean, the idea is kind of cool, but it just never really, it never really grabbed me, I guess. As I said before, I don't remember too many arcs, but I do remember the characters pretty well, and I'm a big fan of Princess Sally. I think Sally is a much better female lead than Amy has ever been in the games or the shows.
No, if I had spent more time on the plan, we wouldn't have lost them. I should have posted guards here, here, and here.
She's a smart character, and she's strong, and she works well on her own, but she's also great as a romantic interest to Sonic.
You'll always be my hero, Sonic Hedgehog.
I repeat, she's 10 times a better romantic interest than Amy, who's just an obsessed, fangirl, I guess.
Fine, Sonic. Come on. We'll have more fun without him anyhow.
And it's interesting what they did with Knuckles, because in the video games, Knuckles seems to be the only surviving echidna, but in the Archie comic book, there's a bunch of them. There's an entire Knuckles family. I remember one female echidna called Julie Sue that used to be bad, then turned good, became a on and off, girlfriend, I guess, to Knuckles. But the Chaotix is probably what I most remember about Knuckles and the echidnas. Because here's the thing, in many of the games and in the Sonic X anime, the Chaotix is a team of detectives. It's a detective agency, and it's run by Vector the Crocodile. But in the Archie comic, the Chaotix is basically another set of freedom fighters. It's Knuckles' team. He has a B team, I guess, of freedom fighters, and it's really cool. And you get to see the same characters from the games. You see Vector, you see SPO, you see Charmy, plus a few others that are not in the games. So that was cool. I always liked that. So when I played Sonic Heroes, for example, I was like, wait a minute, why are they detectives? And at first I didn't like it. Eventually I got into it, and I also saw Sonic X, and I liked them enough there. But in my mind, the Chaotix will always be freedom fighters instead of detectives.
Oh yeah? What makes you so sure?
Espio's right. What makes you think you can solve it today, Vector?
Elementary, my dear Charmy. It just takes some clever sleuthing.
Shadow is a character who's been used a lot over the years in the Archie comic, and for obvious reason, he's a very popular character with the fans of the video games. And one of my favorite things about Shadow in the comic book is that they explored him even more as an ally and as a sort of friend to the team. Because in the games, he doesn't get as much screen time as you would like, and when he does, sometimes they kind of ruin his character. I've seen trailers for the upcoming game Sonic Forces, and it seems like they're going back to him being a villain, and that sucks. Because basically they're just throwing away all the character development that they've done with him over the years. Because when you play, the end of Adventure 2, when you play Heroes, when you play even Shadow the Hedgehog, you see him become more and more of an ally, So yeah, that sucks. I really wish that I could talk more and more about the arcs and the overall evolution of the comic, but as I said before, I don't remember too many details. So I do recommend that you guys check out this really cool book, the Sonic Comic Book Encyclopedia. I got it very recently. I got a used copy on Amazon. You can get it for like, $5 to $10. It's really good. And obviously you can read the comic book on Comixology, and you can spend a while on Wikipedia. And also, I don't want to bore you. You don't want to see me talk for 30 minutes about the comic book. And if you do, let me know in the comments, because I do plan on making more videos in the future. Hopefully more detailed videos about the comic book, the Satam show, etc. It's really sad to see the comic book end, because this comic book, it meant the world to me for many years. I enjoyed reading it, and I enjoy the Sonic franchise. I enjoy the games, I enjoy the shows, I enjoy collecting the toys and whatnot. So yeah, it's gonna be really sad to say goodbye, but I don't have to say goodbye completely, because here's the thing, I haven't read in a few years, so there's a lot of issues that I do need to read. They'll be new for me, and I've hardly read Sonic Universe. I still haven't read the Knuckles miniseries. I know, I should have done that years ago, but here's the fun thing, that'll all be new to me now, and I can always go back and reread the stuff that I do know, like the first 200 or so issues of the Sonic mainline series, and of course the games aren't going anywhere, the Satam show isn't going anywhere, Sonic X, Sonic Boom, etc. Sonic will be with me forever. Look, he's right here with me. Sonic is my... Sorry, Sonic, I hit him with the table. Sorry, Sonic. But yeah, I love Sonic. He'll always be here with me. And no matter what ups and downs the franchise will have, no matter what things go away, like the Archie comic book, I'll always be a fan, and I'm sure you guys will always be fans too. And I keep dreaming, I keep hoping that one day we'll see these characters again, that we'll see, Princess Sally, Rotor, Antoine, etc. I hope we get another show one day that serves as a sequel to Sonic Satam, pretty much what the Archie comic book was for many years, or at least have the characters adapted somehow into the games or a future comic book. I don't know. I don't want to think about it too much, because the more I think about it, the more hyped you get, and the more disappointing it's going to be. But I repeat, I have hope. A man can dream, can he? So yeah, thank you for watching the show, it means a lot. And if you guys want me to tackle Sonic again in future videos, which I do plan on doing anyway, but let me know what you want to see. Let me know if you want me to talk about Sonic Satam in more detail, specific, aspects like the arcs, the characters, etc. If you want me to review the Sonic Satam show, if you want me to tackle any specific Sonic games, but whatever else you come up with, let me know in the comments, and let me know what you think of this video. If you like it, then please feel free to like it, to share with your friends, and of course, subscribe to the channel, so you can stay up to date with everything that I upload. And feel free to check out our other videos, our back catalog of videos, like the N64 tribute montage, our Contra review, our Pilot Wings review, among other things. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll hopefully see you guys next time.